You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's now time to find out what's up with Nick Poliokini, who joins us as customary in studio on a Tuesday.
It's good to be here. And if you have been following along since the beginning of the show, you can go to This Weekend with Nick or Nick Poliokini on Instagram and vote on the designer diapers for the OC Fair outing.
You're really going to do this, huh?
You know, while I've already talked to everybody in the chat room, no, I will not be going number 2. I probably won't be going number 1.
Let's reset for anyone who might just now be joining.
So specifically, we are looking and having a conversation about diapers and going and attending events wearing diapers so that you didn't have to depart and find a restroom. And with a bit of food conversation for fairs in general and things to that effect, we landed on designer adult diapers. So it's a very long thread to have followed from the beginning of the show to now.
And you volunteered.
And I volunteered because I am that guy. And I'm going to the OC Fair next Wednesday. It opens actually Thursday or this week, Friday. Sorry, it opens this Friday. And I'll be talking about that in a minute. But I'll be there on Wednesday next week. Oh, yeah. See, if you go on to follow Mr. Mo Kelly on YouTube, you can see the adult diapers that you can sport, and they're so convenient.
Don't say cute. Okay.
No. They're very convenient and surprisingly, but I did pick 3 styles that you can vote on. One is tuxedo black. The other one is like gaming, and it has like gaming console, like games on it. And I will be glad to explain even later, eventually, when even later becomes a part of the family, exactly why these diapers exist. But I'm going to move on to some other topics now.
Wait, what's the gaming one? Is it like Pac-Man?
No, like a gaming console.
Like gaming console, like the
controller.
Control, thank you. And different things. So it's got like the Game Boy controllers and the old school Super Nintendo controller and stuff like that.
Oh, where's the joystick go? Answer the question.
Wow, I literally heard the doors are closed in the studio and I heard a belly
console,
laugh.
They don't use joysticks anymore.
Okay, please proceed.
Oh, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. I love that you chose this one to jump in on, of all things, Mark.
I'm just trying to make a positive contribution.
I think he's secretly curious.
Yeah, I think he's really curious. And the funniest part is they come in a 2-pack, Mark. So it sounds like you're doing this activity with me too, buddy.
I got to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Back to the news.
So anyway, so that's what's going on there. To bring it back here and reset, I want to talk about, and if you are joining us on YouTube, you can see I'm decked out in my Disney best, and that is not a big surprise for me, because even though I've been talking about it for 2 months now and started on May 17th, we are officially in the week of the 70th anniversary of Disneyland Park and the celebrations of festivities going on at the Disneyland Resort. But what I want to specifically talk about is something that came out in the media, social media specifically yesterday. There is a brand new animatronic that was featured at Main Street, or on Main Street, and it will be available. I'll be bringing it to you on social media on Thursday the 17th, which is the official 70th anniversary of Disneyland. But Walt Disney has actually been made into an audio animatronic for the very first time ever.
Didn't he disapprove of that?
See, and that's the thing. And I've been digging for those stories, and it's really funny because they seem to be buried. But yes, there was specifically,
I thought he was opposed to that.
He was very much opposed to that. So obviously something has changed in the Disney camp. Either the Walt Disney Company, the Disney family, something in that effect, because a lot of this partnered with the Walt Disney Museum, the Disney Family Museum, which is based in at the Embarcadero up in San Francisco. And they actually provide a lot of the source material to learn Walt. But if you have not looked this up yet, and you can see it right now on YouTube, from a distance, you might see Walt Disney. When you see it up close, it looks nothing like the man. And it is very, very unnerving. And if you're familiar with the concept of uncanny valley, where something is so close, but not quite there.
I'm surprised they didn't use like a hologram. They truly use him.
Correct. And I think, so the thing that's interesting here, this is based on Main Street, and it will be alternating with Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which has seen massive leaps and bounds in technology with audio animatronics. And it's very interesting because this is based on Walt Disney from 1963 is the specific source material. So that would have been when the Florida Project, which is now Walt Disney World, was being built. That was also when Disneyland was being expanded and the New York's Fair was going on. The World Fair was going. All those things, incredibly important things to the Walt Disney Company and Walt Disney himself, milestones for him. But you can see the videos now.
You got to check this out on YouTube. It's one thing to discuss it, but you can see it at Mr. Mo Kelly on YouTube.
And I will be seeing it live and in person on Thursday and bringing that to you as well. So I'll have different angles, different shots than you're being able to see right now. But a shout out to my friend Scott Gustin, who he is a really well-known theme park media person, and he has a Substack. And so he pretty much goes through beautifully and talks about all the things related to this, how absolutely incredible it is, even if it does not look and embody Walt to a T, it does embody Walt's imagination and moving forward and new activities. And that is, as long as there's imagination in the world, Disneyland will never be complete, was one of the major quotes, maybe not exactly word for word, but one of the most popular quotes that is said, that Walt had stated that, as long as there's magic in the world, as long as there's imagination and creativity, Disneyland and the Walt Disney Company will not be complete. So this, along with a brand new verse at Small World, will be premiering on Thursday for the official 70th anniversary of Disneyland. The Sherman Brothers, who did a lot of the music that we're familiar with from the Renaissance, or even not the Renaissance period, that's the 80s and 90s, but from the beginning, from the Walt Disney Company, the Sherman Brothers put together Mary Poppins and all these different music that from the Walt Disney Company, including It's a Small World. And so there is a brand new, before Richard Sherman, I'm pretty sure that was one of the two Sherman Brothers, just passed away last year. Before he passed away, he actually finished a brand new final verse for It's a Small World as we know it. So that will be premiering on Thursday as well. I will be there. But there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of things happening at Downtown Disney. This is always that, free 99 concept where, yes, you do have to pay $10 for parking if you are visiting Downtown Disney itself. But there's so much going on there between Din Tai Fung, which is an incredible restaurant to check out. You get Sip and Sonder, which is a local coffee shop out of Inglewood, which Mo and I both know very well. They're down at Downtown Disney. I'll be there also Monday and Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of next week, experiencing a bunch of new things that'll be coming as the 70th continues to celebrate. But I'm always trying to find ways for you to enjoy these really impressive activities with a little bit more thoughtfulness when it comes to your pocketbook, realistically. So that's where it's at for Disney. And I won't say too much because you already covered it, and we did talk about it a little bit on the OC Fair. But
no, we can reset.
No, we're fine.
No, let's talk about the fair. Talk about the fair.
We are going to talk about the fair, absolutely. But for me, I love a fair. The thing that I'm a little bit, and I have not taken the deep enough dive to find out, but the thing that I've always loved in the past with the fair is that you could get in for free with a donation. And I don't see that on the website this year. Now, I may have missed it. I have misclicked or whatever. So it's very likely there.
You probably just want your money this year.
Right. That's exactly correct. And I think that's that goes back to our conversation at the beginning of the show, was specifically how much more expensive it is, especially when it comes to parking. And I think that's the most wild thing, that the parking rates have continued to rise at Disneyland, $35, Universal, as Tawala said earlier, $35, and what's even more wild to me, so not Sperry Farm, same, but you can also get higher rate or better preferred parking, which is $50 to $55 at Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, and Universal Studios. Actually, I think Universal is $75 for the front gate parking.
Damn.
Which is a good portion of the gate admission, which is wild because you can get like $63 tickets to Universal and spend $75 if you want to park at the front gate. So anyway, OC Fair is well worth it. My recommendations for you there, having done it for years, there are many places in and around Costa Mesa, which is where the fair is located, where you're able to park, and sometimes for free. Granted, it may require you to get your steps in for the day.
You go get your steps in.
But with as much delicious food as you'll be consuming, and they have their $5 Taste of the Fair food, which is something that I love. It is available every single day, which is new because it used to just be like 1 or 2 days of the fair per week. Now, every single day of the fair from open, which is about 11 a.m. until 4 p.m., you get $5 samples from almost every food vendor there. So you can really go and share the food and enjoy. So it's a really good way to save a few bucks to go to the OC Fair. And it's just down the street from Disneyland in Costa Mesa, so it's not too bad of a deal that way.
Debbie Trimberger in the Mo Migos Motown chat says, at Nick Poliokini, loving the face fur look. What does the hubby think of it?
Thank you very much, Debbie.
Looking scruffy up in here.
I was like, I'm scruffy. And this is the funny part. We come from so many years of radio that we don't really think about it. And so it always is like, okay, I got my Disney fit. I've got everything that I'm going to do.
Why am I going to shave?
Correct. And then it's like, but I'm going to have a camera in my face. Debbie, what do you think about it? Because my husband is on board, but he also sports a goatee himself. So, in fact, he is just going through a whole new experience because he is getting. He's had horrible teeth growing up as a kid, and he's been going through that whole process of getting it dealt with. So as he ages, and he can chew correctly and everything else, but he just got brand new teeth. So if you follow me, Nick Poliokini, this week with Nick on social media, you'll be seeing him and his new grill here real soon, which he's very excited about. I've never seen him. He smiles a lot, but he smiles a lot more now.
Did he get any gold?
I'm
Platinum?
trying, I'm leaning toward the so it could be temporary.
Okay,
but the implants look amazing.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I know he went through hell then.
He did go through hell, and I was there for most of it with him.
We talk about that because Tuala's had some put in. Right. I've had one put in.
And it's crowns. It's really what it is.
I still wouldn't wish it on anybody.
No, it was wild, and I was there, and I was there for moral support. But it's a new experience, and to the point that he's like, I'm 40 some odd years old, and I'm learning to chew again.
Yeah,
because you have to have a whole different bite pattern. Yeah. So but that's it. For now.
When we come back, we'll have more with Nick Poliokini and find out what else is up with him and more.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Nick Poliokini. What's up with Nick is on to tell us all what he do. Nick Poliokini. What's up with Nick is on with free 99 for you. Nick Poliokini. What's up with Nick is on to give us fun things to do around SoCal. What's up with Nick is on with Mo Kelly and his crew.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live just about everywhere. At your mama's house. Neighborhood.
That's how we roll.
The corner. Nick Poliokini, what's still going on?
Got so much going on. In fact, we had kind of a lull after the 4th of July. So much is back in effect for you. So starting out or kind of staying in Orange County where we were before the break, Thursday nights, downtown Fullerton markets have been going since April, but they are still in effect through September. It's a good time if you're just looking for something that is free 99, not a last call situation, but definitely for you to go out and enjoy yourself. Also in Orange County, you've got a similar situation called Sunset Markets on Thursdays, and that is happening in the city of Tustin. So both of those are great. I've done them both in the past. The one thing that I'm really excited about, but I'll be in San Diego for Pride this weekend, is that the Greatest Show on Surf is returning. And I only say returning because it kind of took a lull after the pandemic. But San Clemente, the 47th annual Ocean Festival, is taking place this weekend. Well worth your time, even if you just want to go to the beach. And then there's so much happening in and along the coastline for San Clemente. It's a great time. But the weather's supposed to be great this weekend. So maybe you want to take a road trip quick up to Santa Barbara. The California Wine Festival is happening this weekend. And also, if you want to stay a little bit closer to home, the 61st annual Greek Fest will be happening over in the South Bay. So not too bad of a deal there. That's brought to you by St. Catherine's Greek Orthodox Church, and that's been, they've been a church since 1964. But also, this one I've not done, and I don't know, it feels a little bougie, but Festival Beverly Hills, that's happening on Sunday.
That's not free.
Right, I was going to say, that is not free. It is from noon to 6, and a Global Inspired Arts and Performance Festival happening for that. So that's something if you're looking for something unique. Also, you've got LACMA will have their Latin Sounds Sangre Nueva. That is happening this weekend. And then the Music Center Dance on Friday night is going to be happening actually started last month, but it goes on Fridays 7 to 11. I did this last week. It's in the Jerry Moss Plaza. It is free 99. They have live music. They have DJs. It's a really good time. They have food and drink available. Also, if you're looking for something with a little bit more flavor, the Festival Colombiana will be happening in Pico Rivera. That is celebrating its 20th anniversary and happening this Sunday. And also, if you're looking for something in the IE, the Summer Street Fair is back. It started actually last week in Corona, and that runs all the way through August. It's a little warm, but not too bad of a deal there. And then also, if you're heading out to Palm Springs, you have Village Fest, which happens every Thursday throughout the year. It's a really great opportunity. That one is free 99. There's lots of food, arts, crafts, entertainment that are happening. Again, a little warm, but not too crazy bad. And then I'm heading down to San Diego this weekend because even though June is Pride Month, Pride parades happen all year long around the country and around the world. This weekend will be San Diego Pride, and the reason I will be going is because I will be actually marching with the Walt Disney Company in the parade, and
is that right?
I will be, and it will be in celebration of two incredible friends of mine who I'll be emceeing their retirement party and celebration, I guess you would say, at Disneyland. So this Friday, I'll be doing a special presentation with them at the Golden Horseshoe Review inside of Disneyland Park. James Pryor, JP, and Steve Valkenburg, who were my very first two leads when I hired in at Disney back in 1998. I did work for the Walt Disney Company from 1998 through 2003, and I did open Disney California Adventure, the Grand California Hotel, and worked with all the operating partners at Downtown Disney. But JP and Steve are really a huge contribution to who I am and how I interact with people and my customer service, and listening to me here for the last 20-ish years on the radio. A lot of it comes from their mentorship and development. Steve being quite the boisterous individual, and JP being a little bit more speak softly but carry a big stick kind of a guy. So I'm excited for that, but that is also why I will be joining the entire team from the Disneyland Resort, as well as Imagineering in Glendale and the studios here in Burbank, and we will all be heading down to San Diego for the weekend.
And you're going to be posting all the pics at this weekend with Nick.
Yes, I'll be posting all the pics with this weekend with Nick and Nick Poliokini. Instagram is always the easiest, but I am on the TikTok, as you are now trying to push everybody.
The TikTok.
Well, I was like, I don't know, is that, and this, I do my very best not to be the child that's like, you know what the kids say today these days, but on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, all the things.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Operation Aunties, now available on AMC streaming channel All Black. It's an action-packed dramedy which tells the story of a longtime friendship that is tested when a risk-averse cryptocurrency expert and her retired detective best friend become vigilantes after discovering a cybercrime syndicate in their city.
Hey, I'm Amina. Oh, you got water good.
It's about your niece Amina's assault case.
Oh my God.
Oh God, you okay?
We trace him to this larger operation.
There are guys who use a new rideshare app to traffic women for crypto coin.
What you thinking? We go after him and everyone else in this network.
Okay, vigilantes.
There are some dangerous people that are part of
this. You owe me a spa day.
All we need is some sexy outfits.
I know that's right.
I specialize in computer technology. You can identify everyone involved in this.
Detective O'Hara at your service.
Badasses! What? Are you high? Yes!
So is that all you got? You go big or stronger? Is that all you got?
Destroy them. There's no turning back now.
Directed by Wendy Raquel Robinson, who you know from her time on the TV show The Game, and also opposite Steve Harvey on The Steve Harvey Show as Principal Greer. Ms. Robinson, a pleasure to speak to you again. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Absolutely. And I'm also joined by venerable comedic actress and co-star Tisha Campbell, who you know from the House Party movie franchise, television classic Martin, and opposite Eddie Murphy in Another 48 Hours. Ms. Campbell, good to have you back on as well.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
Tisha, let me start with you. I get great joy by watching the evolution and growth of your career over the years. What's it like to branch out into action with Operation Aunties?
I just love that Wendy saw me for this role and that I get a chance to do any and everything that I've ever wanted to do. Like during COVID isolation, I made a pact to myself because, you know, you're by yourself and all you have is yourself to, you know. I didn't have anybody in my ear telling me what I could or could not do. And so I made a pact to myself that I was going to try everything and make choices for myself. And this was one of them.
Wendy, my mother, my late father, and my sister are all Howard University graduates such as yourself. And I would be cussed out something awful if I didn't shout out HU.
You know.
Did you have any idea while walking down Georgia Avenue next to the Wonder Bread factory in Washington, D.C., that you'd be one day in the director's chair?
Wow. Thank you for that. You know what?
One thing that I love about Howard and that theater department, we had to rotate and do everything. And that goes from lights to sound to, hair, makeup, wardrobe. We had to do all of the practicums and sit in every single chair as it came to not only theater, but all of the fundamentals from even the admin side of running a theater. So I do want to say that my days at Howard prepared me for a little bit of everything. So as I smell the Wonder Bread that I now hear is a Whole Foods store, and the evolution of it all, it was a wonderful time in my life, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to have worked alongside such amazing talents as I walk those halls. And Georgia Avenue as well.
All right. Wendy, let me stay right there with you. Let's get into Operation Aunties and the mayhem included. What are these aunties in for?
Ooh, these aunties are in for everything. Just like you said, the mayhem, the chaos, the comedy. But I also want to say it's an edutaining experience because we are dealing with some serious content, in terms of the sex trafficking, which is very, very real. So we had to do a balancing act. And it's like, well, what do you do when the FBI or, those forces that are supposed to be handling things are not doing it in a timely manner? You take things into your own hand and you become vigilant. And that's where we got the vigilantes for Operation Aunties. And I think the audience is in for a ride. It's not often when you can get the tech world meets a little bit of comedy, a little bit of action, a little bit of, we got a little bit of everything. And, but it's a wonderful, delicate balancing act that is educating and entertaining for everyone. So I'm really, really proud of it. And it was a ride. It was a ride for me as a director and just pulling it all together so seamlessly. But I was surrounded by incredible talents of Tisha Campbell and Melissa DeSouza, and it just really made it a wonderful experience for me that I'm going to cherish forever, actually.
Tisha, let me talk more about that balancing act with you. And I'm always curious to know how much leeway actors have to improvise on projects like this. Yes, there's a serious undertone. Yes, there's comedy. As I said at the top, it's a dramedy. So I'm going to ask you in front of your director, Wendy Raquel Robinson, how free were you, Tisha Campbell, to improvise or have fun with your character?
Well, you know what? We only had 10 days to film this.
What?
And so... Yeah, we only had 10 days to film this, and TJ Ali, the writer, and Wendy carved out a wonderful story. So I kind of tried as much as I could to stick to that. There were ad-lib moments, but for the most part, I didn't want to stray too far because this was an intricate story to tell, and I wanted to make sure that my contribution wasn't over the top and not going to take away from the story.
Wendy, I think that leads me right into my next question, because if you're under a tight schedule, which you are with 10 days, there are limitations in what you can do as far as shoots and reshoots. How did that figure into your calculus as far as directing a piece like this?
Well, you know what? It all starts in the planning. If you don't plan, you're going to fail, because there were no opportunities to do a reshoot. That's out of the question. We had to make our days. So I worked very closely with the DP, and wow, we worked for hours just getting a solid shot list and just going play by play. I had a wonderful production and producing team, Letitia Fortune and Sheena Carter. They came through and just made sure that every T was crossed, every I was dotted. We had back-to-back Zooms with every department and just ensuring that the mood, the look. So when we got to set, everything was just as we had planned it to be. Yes, there were a few glitches, there were weather. Oh my God, it was almost a hurricane. You remember that night? We were shooting the finale. Yes. We were shooting the finale, and it was a huge hurricane in Florida.
Tropical storm, yep.
All of the backlash of the rain and everything in Atlanta. And, but the crew, we all came together. Nobody wanted to leave. And, we all stayed and we made it happen. So teamwork can make a dream work. And I really want to say that, not just because it sounds flowery, but everyone was so invested. Mm-hmm. And it just all came together because there was no room for error.
Mm-hmm.
There was only room for adjustments. And I said, for every problem, there's going to be a solution. And we made it happen. One of the funniest things was, how did we create the brain of this massive computer? Because Melissa DeSosa's character is like a Steve Jobs. How do you show the expansive world of this woman who has this crypto and, blockchain technology? And how do we show her world? And basically where we were shooting, it was just a home that we used every single bedroom to create the world of this movie. And I got to give a shout out to our DP. He came up with the concept of creating the brain of this incredible computer. He frosted 2 glass doors, and the brain existed behind these two French doors that were just glass doors. But, we became very creative, and we tapped into resources that we didn't have, and we made it work. And that's the one thing I walk away with, most proud of.
Operation Aunties, now streaming on the AMC streaming portion, all black. It is available right now. I want to thank my guests right now, Wendy Raquel Robinson and Tisha Campbell. I enjoy you both. I loved you both for over so many years, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Too.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And for my final thought, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. It's one of the stories which just won't go away in the news. A little more than 6 years ago to the day, July 9th, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and charged with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. Those were federal charges. On July 12th, 2019, just 3 days later, then Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta stepped down due to scrutiny of his role in a previous non-prosecution deal with Epstein in Florida, while Acosta was a federal prosecutor in Florida. Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell a little more than a month later on August 10th, 2019. Donald Trump was president at the time. Bill Barr was the attorney general. November 12th, 2020, the Justice Department's Office of Professional Responsibility, under the purview of Bill Barr, issued a report criticizing Alex Acosta in handling the Jeffrey Epstein investigation that led to Epstein being cut a sweetheart deal that protected him and others from federal prosecution in the Florida case. That deal was made in 2008, which allowed Epstein to plead guilty to state charges of procuring a person under 18 for prostitution and solicitation of prostitution instead of the more serious federal charges of child sex trafficking. In other words, Alex Acosta declined to prosecute on a federal level. Epstein was sentenced to 1.5 years in the Palm Beach County jail system, followed by a year of house arrest. He was required to register as a sex offender. The deal also gave immunity to, quote, any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, close quote. That is a quote. That's important. Epstein dodged federal charges. His co-conspirators were granted protection against prosecution, and Epstein had to only face minor state charges. That was 2008. And that's also important to know because the Florida Attorney General from 2011 to 2019 was none other than Pam Bondi. Yes, that Pam Bondi. Meaning Bondi had access to all of these original Epstein files as long as 14 years ago. And I'm recounting all this because this was all out in the open. Maybe I just paid closer attention to this stuff, closer than most people. But releasing the Epstein files, as they're called, be they the Florida or the federal ones, have never been predicated on electing Donald Trump president in 2024. Now, I know it made for good conspiracy fodder and campaign promises, but it was never dependent on Donald Trump returning to the White House. Would I like to know who is linked to the reasons why Ghislaine Maxwell is serving 20 years in federal prison? Of course. Would I like to know who were the protected co-conspirators in the 2008 deal? Of course. Do I believe that the Johns and those complicit should see justice? Absolutely. But if you're mad now about Jeffrey Epstein and not back in 2008 for getting over in Florida, I can't take your concern seriously. He was a known child rapist even back then. With the stroke of a pen by the then governor Rick Scott, who was governor 2011 to 2019 and who's now Florida's junior senator, everything connected to the Florida state case, which originally was a federal case, could have been released instantly. Remember, it was just a state case. Scott's successor, Governor Ron DeSantis, did release 150 pages of grand jury testimony, but chose not to release more than that. Chose. To quote the movie When a Stranger Calls, the call is coming from inside the house. If you really wanted the Epstein files, you could have and should have had them more than a decade ago. You didn't ask the right people. Don't act surprised now that there's no appetite to release them. Ron DeSantis right now can release the Florida portion of the files all by himself. And if you know anything about civics, you know I'm right. There's no debate here. But most people who want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein don't want to have that conversation. The guy who agreed to release 150 pages of grand jury testimony is the guy who can release the rest today. But this is what happens when the dog chasing the car finally catches it. This is what happens when Ahab finally slays the white whale, when Charlie Brown finally kicks the football and Lucy doesn't pull it away. The conspiracy is not all that complicated, but the allure of conspiracy theories is that they remain abstract, with a non-specific boogeyman to blame. The sad truth is the real driving force behind the desire to release the Epstein files is the wish casting as to who is supposedly on the client list. That's it. Because Jeffrey Epstein, pardon my vernacular, he was raping children in the early 2000s and nobody said anything. It was a relatively open secret in Florida. But now it's a thing? If you're connected to child sex trafficking, you should be under the jail. But here's an uncomfortable truth. Nobody is ever going to be held accountable. Ever. And here's why. Because there is no statute of limitations for federal child sex trafficking charges. No statute of limitations. You release that list tomorrow, anybody on that list is eligible for prosecution. Put another way, that list will never come out. Never. But you can always ask Governor Ron DeSantis, see if he'll help you out. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating talk.